Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. I'm Neodyinamite, and today we need to provide oxygen, since it's not included. Bloody hell, I'm so good at the jokes, you know? So basically, I need to first explain, like, I think. I am not super good at this game, okay? So if you're watching this video and you're actually good at it, then I'm guessing you're not gonna learn anything new. For those of you who are looking for the build for the electrolyzer, along with something that will allow you to cool down the base, then you're welcome to watch it. And then I really hope that this thing will be helpful for you and that actually your colony will survive another day. Now, as I said, I'm not like really good at this game. I may understand some basics, so I'm basing this build on a build that I saw from another YouTuber called Vlada. The guy basically is a god when it comes to oxygen not included, and I highly recommend that if you're looking for really advanced stuff, that you're gonna go and search for him. Like if you're gonna just type Vlada, he's like this well, okay, maybe he's not that handsome, less handsome than I am, of course, but you know, like a guy with the glasses, with a specific sense of humor, completely family friendly, so feel free to watch him. He's really good at this game. Basically, most of my stuff is based on what he does, but the thing is that when he does it now, he basically just rolls with it, and I am this type of person that I need to know why you're making specific things. Okay, otherwise I'm just won't be able to go to sleep. I need to know why you're doing a certain thing. So yeah, this is the video that I aim to the people that actually have the same thing. Like, why are you doing this, not the different thing? So, you have your colony. My colony managed to survive for almost 300 cycles so far, and I'm not even close to getting like to the self-sufficient thingy. But I'm running out of algae, and as you know, algae is used at the beginning of the game to make oxygen. Later on, I can use other means, but you know, the electrolyzers are the way to go. Well, for let's say medium advanced players. The advanced players are basically making bloody ass oxygen out of, I don't know, farts or whatever thing. They're making oxygen out of chlorine apparently. How does work? I don't know. So, you want to set up the electrolyzers. However, you need to understand one thing. Electrolyzers have changed. Back in the day, in the early access version of Oxygen Not Included, the electrolyzers made out oxygen, and they based the temperature of said oxygen based on the temperature of the water that you put it inside. Now it's changed. If you're gonna put electrolyzer in a vacuum, then technically the electrolyzer is gonna create oxygen by 70 degrees. So if you're gonna let that thing into your base, you're gonna cook your duplicates, and that's something that you really don't want to get, because this is the thing with this game. If you are new to it, oxygen, food and water is like the biggest problem. However, sooner or later you're gonna discover that the actual problem comes to heat management. That is the real issue. So I'm gonna both show you like a build for the self-sufficient oxygen production. You just need to put water inside. That's the only thing that you need to worry about. And also we're gonna try to cool down said oxygen to a level that will allow your duplicates to survive, so that you won't cook them. So first thing that you need to do is do some research. Obviously, I haven't done the research yet. Most of it actually. First that we need to get is of course the electrolyzer. So the electrolyzer is in the liquids. It's over here, right? Obviously you need to research the previous thing, but I think that's like self-explaining. You need to have the electrolyzer, you need to have the gas filter, you need to have the liquid Shutoff, you need to have the thermo aqua tuner, so you need to go into this section as well. Obviously you want to get the pump, and you want to get the gas pipes. So you want to go, you want to get the ventilation, pressure management, temperature modulation, and HVAC. You want to get this thing, because this thing is gonna be useful. Same goes for improved ventilation. You want to get that thing as well. What else do we need? We also gonna need, let me think. Oh, and obviously you want to get this thing. Low resistant conductors. You really want this thing, otherwise it's gonna blow up. And I think that's actually it. I think, like if I'm gonna add them, oh, and obviously you need to have this thing, because you need to create like refined metal in order to construct all of this thing. So we got to research this thing. Like this is all the basic stuff, so you should not have, if your colony managed to survive, let's say 200 cycles, you should already have that thing researched. I didn't, so I have to do it. So Let's get us duplicates into work. Now, they're gonna go and research the stuff, but now we need to prepare the materials. What you're gonna need? You're gonna need, as I said, some refined metal, either copper or iron. It's up to you. So that's one thing. Then you need to get the gold amalgam. Now, the gold amalgam is actually the thing that you get from the swamp. It's this thing, okay? It's like very specific material. If you're gonna go to the swamp, you need to look out for the slime lung, right? As you can see, I've destroyed one swamp biome over here, and I destroyed one more swamp biome over here, okay? So for that thing, you have to watch the other videos. But basically, you need to get your hands on the gold amalgam. Sometimes you're gonna be lucky, and the gold amalgam will be basically at the very edge of the swamp biome. Oh, like this one, for example, over here. Like, it's on the edge, right? So you don't have to worry about the slime lung or whatever thing. So you need to get that thing. You need to have, obviously, clean water. The electrolyzer will create oxygen only from clean water. So you need to get that thing. You will need a little bit of polluted water. It could either be with germs or like without the germs. It does not matter. You just need to have polluted water. What else do you need? And obviously you need to have some sandstone, copper, and stuff like that. Anything else? No. Actually, we just need to get the research. Now, what I like to do is that I like to build this system like in the top of my tower base. Okay, you are obviously allowed to build it whatever you want. But actually, it's like a good idea to keep it like close to a cool water tank, because this is the thing. As I said, the electrolyzer will produce oxygen at 70 degrees. But the thing is that if you're gonna put a hotter water inside, then that temperature is gonna add up. So let's say, to my understanding, because I haven't checked this yet, I've checked the build and it's actually like working and cooling down the water. I mean the oxygen. But I didn't check like what's gonna happen if I'm gonna put really hot water inside of the system. So I'm assuming that if you're gonna put, let's say, water of 72 degrees, then you're gonna get 72 degree oxygen out of it. So not really recommending that thing, okay? Just keep that thing in mind. And obviously I did forget about something. You also need to have the computers and need to get the smart home upgrade. So basically this will allow you to automate the entire process. Remember to get this thing as well. Like, this is super easy. This is basically basic research anyway. So you should be capable to getting that thing if you actually want to automate yourself oxygen production. So let us get into the building as I'm researching other stuff around so we can start preparing the stuff. First of all, I like to start with the gas pump. You kinda like need to make all of this thing out of gold amalgam. All of the devices inside, they need to be made out of gold amalgam. Why? Because gold amalgam basically adds to the resistance of temperature. So let's put it this way. If you're gonna put a pump and make it out of, let's say, iron, then the overheat temperature is 75. So if there's gonna be 76 in the room, then you're gonna basically fry your gas pump. The gold amalgam actually adds additional 50 degree of the resistance. So instead of like being 75, it's actually like around 125. It doesn't show you in the description of the item, it just shows you the overheat temperature of the item itself, but then you have to actually read in the resources section that this thing adds to the temperature resistance. So yeah, normally you should try to build 4 of them, but I like to build 3. Like 3 in my opinion is like just enough, but then again, if your system won't be keeping up with the pressure of the oxygen, then keep in mind that you may actually need to add 4. Actually, for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna make 4, just in case. Just in case some people will feel a bit of a confusion. Now, you need to also use the insulated tiles. Now, I like to use the igneous rock. It adds a bit of an overheat, which is like, yeah, okay, whatever, nobody really cares. So that thing, or you can maybe add the, you may actually like try to use the semi-mandatory rock. It's up to you. Like, I don't really think this thing matters. You just need to remember that you need to use the isolated tiles. With the oxygen pumps built, actually the gas pumps built, you need to actually like start to preparing the place for the electrolyzers itself. So what you want to do is look for an airflow tile, and you can actually like, I'm gonna use iron because I have like a bunch of it. You're free to use copper, but copper actually is good for like the coding, and since your duplicates are not supposed to go here either way, you are free to use iron. Now this thing is technically it's not supposed to overheat either way, but if you're like scared, like if you're gonna be playing on the really hot maps, then you may try to use the gold amalgam. I'm completely fine with using the iron ore because, as I said, I got it like a lot. So that's like completely not a problem. And now we want to build in the middle, like a little bit of place. So I like to do something like this. Now, it's not gonna really work, but like if the middle pumps will break, then technically you could try to make like a manual airlock and just add like a few ladders underneath it. I can't really say that this was helpful, because when something actually broke, I had to break the wall anyway. But if you feel like it, feel free to put a manual airlock. Otherwise, just put like a normal tile in the middle of it. It does not actually like matter. And if you're gonna do this thing, then just put like a ladder or two in the middle of it, like so your duplicants can actually access the lower chamber. But as I said, it actually did not work that well for me. This is just like an idea that you could try to use. Now, get the electrolyzer. Obviously, you need to make it out of gold amalgam, and you want to build two on this side and on this side. Now, in the middle of this thing, you want yourself to build another gas pump. So get, of course, out of gold amalgam and place it over here. Now, between those two, you are free to build. Well, actually, you're supposed to build like a wall or something. However, instead of making a wall, you could just build yourself an airlock. Now, people on YouTube use the mechanized airlock. I'm not exactly sure why, because I won't be wasting power for this thing, and I won't be going inside that often. So I actually prefer to use the manual airlock. I've checked it. Is there like an actual difference from those two? Outside of the mechanized airlock needs power, and when you provide it with power, it opens faster. I didn't found any other differences, so I'm just sticking to the manual airlock. Make it out of iron, whatever, nobody really cares. So get those two things over here. Now you want to continue with the isolated tiles. So you want to make like the roof, obviously, and you want to go it all over the place like this. Okay. Now we're gonna later on build two additional airlocks over here, but for now I'm gonna like leave it free so that my duplicants can run around freely and construct this thing really fast. Later on, you want to add yourself like a little bit of a ladder, so you can actually access this thing, like such. And we need to like wait for those guys to finish this thing. Now, in the meantime, we can actually prepare the place for like the other operating systems for this auction production facility. So what you're gonna need? Well, you're gonna need a bunch of stuff. With the two first floors built, or planet, you want to build the thermo aqua tuner on the third and last floor. Now, I like to actually like swap it like this, but like it depends on how we're gonna build this thing. So keep in mind, the white is input, the green is output. Okay, so try not to mess it up around. I like to actually build this thing like on this side over here. So when this thing placed, you actually want to finish surrounding the place with the isolated tiles. Actually, if you feel like it, you could try to use the igneous rock just to add a bit of a resistance to overheating. So the last layer, if you really are like scared and you just want to go safe and you have like a bunch of resources, use the igneous rock on the last layer like such. Okay, and then remember to add one more additional tile, so you have to do something like this. Okay, now just a side note, if you're gonna be building this thing, I like to delete temporarily the most right and the most left tiles, simply because you're gonna have to fill this thing with water, and the water has this stupid tendency that it starts like, let's say, in the middle or something like that. Well, I place it in the middle, so it spreads from the middle. And then comes the issue that sometimes in the top right or top left corner, I'm left with a bit of a gas. So as you know, when it comes to the mechanics in Oxygen Not Included, you cannot have on the same tile a gas and a liquid. Okay, you can either have a liquid or you can either have a gas, well, or a block, depending how what you actually like doing. But the thing is that they cannot mix. That is the issue. So if you're gonna try to do something like this and you're gonna have like a gas over here and you're gonna try to fill it up with more water and you won't have like the place for the gas to escape, then you're gonna overpressurize the room and basically you're gonna break your walls. Like that's the thing that a lot of people do, and they're wondering why exactly is my wall broken. So for example, let's assume that I will build a wall over my water tank and I'm gonna build it like this. Okay, like imagine that this is gonna be a wall over here. If I'm gonna keep putting water inside, then eventually that thing is gonna break the walls, right? Like this is the easiest way to flood your base. Or imagine that somehow I forgot to remove like some gases around in the tank. And I just keep putting in water and more water and more water. And I'm wondering why this little tile is not filling with water. And all of a sudden, the bloody ass floor breaks and it floods my portal. Right? So you want to actually don't like seal it right off the bat. You actually want to make like little holes. So when you're gonna be filling this thing, then the gases will have an easy way out. Once you fill it, then you seal it. That actually rhymes. So this is more or less how the entire layout looks like, right? So you have the pumps over here, then you have the pump on the second level along with the electrolyzers. This is like optional, but this is something I like to do. Also, I need to build the one for the liquid reservoir. So let's build one over here. Now, this is the thing, because I did like a test run before, as I said, and I came to the problem where I had so much hydrogen that I was not able to put it inside of a generator because the generator was not working. So this is in order to save some resources. I'm actually considering putting 2 gas reservoirs. So, you know, maybe instead of having this liquid reservoir over here, I may try to build myself like 1 more gas reservoir. Just saying that you may actually want to keep this thing in mind. Actually, you know what, just for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna build myself like 2 gas reservoirs, because as I said, you'll be producing fuel for the hydrogen generator. But the thing is that if you're gonna get overflow with fuel, then this thing is gonna stop. There are of course means of preventing that thing from happening, but I actually prefer to store this thing just in case. All right, you never know. I want to make this system actually other way around. If you're gonna build this thing, you want to have everything prepared, because like I prefer to be safe than sorry at this in this game. So I'm making like a lot of safeties just in case, because if something is gonna break, which I highly doubt, then I will know that I have to only fix like a smart part, not the entire system. Now, the hydrogen is actually like essential to this thing. Not only is gonna power up the entire system on its own, so it's gonna make it basically self-sufficient, but also this is the magical device that is gonna make the heat disappear. You're probably like wondering, wait, what the fuck? It's simple. Basically, back in the previous versions of the game, there was like a lot of heat dilation mechanics. Basically, you put like hot stuff inside of the device, and the device by magical means apparently managed to delete the heat from reality. How exactly that thing worked, I have no idea, yet that was the thing. Now, the developers have of course changed all of that thing, but for now the hydrogen generator still works with magic apparently, so it still can delete heat. So what this means is that we're gonna be using the hydrogen, we're gonna be heating up the hydrogen as much as that is humanly possible, and that all of that hot hydrogen is gonna go inside of the hydrogen generator, and by magical means we're gonna both delete the heat and make energy. Sounds simple? Sounds fun? Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So, I've ordered them to clean up this room. Like, there's a bunch of eggshells I have around, so that's like not an issue. The thing is that you want to have this room empty and sealed and never open it again. If you're gonna open it, because you have to, I don't know, change some stuff, that's okay. Hydrogen is one of the easiest not breathable gases in the game to manage. Like, basically, it's like this one friend that you don't really care about. You acknowledge his presence, but you don't mind, and he doesn't care about you either. So basically, hydrogen is just gonna go up. He's gonna find the highest possible place in your base or in a cave, and it's just gonna stay there. So it's like really easy to manage either way, even if you're like a beginner player in oxygen not included. So we got all of this thing. Now we need to do some plumbing, and also we need to do some automation. Yeah, automation is gonna be a good and big thing in this entire build. So you want to start with the atomo sensor. Feel free to do it either of copper or iron. I got a bunch of iron, so I'm gonna use iron. You want to have one here, and you want to have another one over here, either on this side, on this side. If you're gonna remove the ladder, you can put it like somewhere in the middle. I prefer it to put like either on this side of the ladder. You got that thing. Now, you want to actually also make yourself some sensors for the liquids. You want to for sure use liquid pipe thermo sensor, because you're gonna be using a thermo aqua tuner. Now this is the thing, the thermo aqua tuner, he takes the substance you're gonna put inside of it. So let's say in this particular example it's gonna be polluted water. It's gonna take the polluted water and it's gonna take from it 14 degrees of heat. no matter how hot this thing is, well, obviously if you're gonna put it like 2000 degrees then you're gonna destroy this thing. But let's say you're gonna put 100 inside, 100 degree Celsius hot polluted water. So what this thing is gonna do is by magical means take the heat, put it on itself, and then release the water, let's say on a temperature of 86, if I'm counting this thing right. So then the heat that the thermo aqua tuner took is gonna try to spread it around itself, right? So then you have to make it so that the hydrogen is gonna take that heat and transfer it all over to the hydrogen generator. That's how it's supposed to work. So yeah, and also you need to have a thermal sensor because this thing can actually create ice. And if you're gonna put a solid object inside of your piping, the actual liquid pipes, then you're gonna break the liquid pipes. So that's why you need a sensor. You need to be sure that the temperature that will go inside after taking it out, the temperature, won't go below 0. Because if you're gonna go below 0, you're gonna break the shit. But first things first, let's actually start from the very bottom. So you want to go into the ventilation thingy and you want to grab yourself the insulated pipes. Like in my opinion, this works the best. So grab yourself the insulated pipes. Try to make it maybe out of granite, because you can use the granite to do some decor. Of course, if you have like a lot of granite, feel free to do so. I'm gonna try to use igneous rock instead. Actually, maybe no. Let's actually use the cemetery rock, just in case, because like this thing can lower overheat, and I prefer it. The thing is that you need to actually transfer the heat around. So grab the insulated pipes and you go into the floor, like such, over here. Okay, now we go over here into this important section of the entire installation. Like, remember that thing. You want to go from now on into the radiant gas pipe. Now, this is the thing. Those two are completely two different things. The isolated pipe, obviously, is gonna keep the temperature inside. It's not gonna spread it around. The normal gas pipe is just gonna, you know, transfer the heat a little bit, not too much, just a little tiny bit. So the insulated is basically is gonna keep the temperature inside of it no matter what, and the radiant gas pipe is gonna obviously try to change the heat around itself as much as that is humanly possible. So if this thing has something inside hot and the surroundings are cold, then the temperature will try to mix up together. So let's say you're gonna put, obviously this is like borderline example, but still, let's say inside is gonna be 20, outside is gonna be 10, so you're gonna get 15, right? More or less. I hope you get the idea. So you want to get to the radiant gas pipe. You can make it out of iron. Like, you're not supposed to heat this up to 70, but if you like scared, then try to make it out of gold and amalgam. But as I said, if you're gonna put oxygen on 75 degrees inside of your base, then you can restart the colony from the beginning, because that's gonna basically cook every single duplicate that you have inside of your base. So you want to go over here. Now you want to go with the radiant type, and you want to go, let's say, 10 tiles, like such. Okay. After that, you can go back to the isolated, and let's like pull it over there down to the base. So that's the first section. Now you want to go into plumbing, and you're looking for the radiant liquid pipe. So this is exactly the same thing. You have the isolated one and you have the radiant one. You want to go to the radiant one. You need to make it out of actually like an actual ignite. Okay, so that's why you need to establish like some type of ignite production, like metal production. For example, for now I'm using the rock crusher, and I'm making this thing out of iron because I have like tons of iron. So like that's not a thing. So you go to plumbing, you go to the radiant liquid pipe, and you want to go something like this. Something like this, more or less. Over here, you want to make a liquid Shutoff, and next to it you want to make a liquid well. I think I'm gonna make it out of gold amalgam. Now you want to obviously make the exit that goes up. You get those things. Now back to the plumbing with the insulated pipes. You grab the insulated pipe, and actually let's go with the radiant one over here. Now grab the isolated one, pick of course the right material, and then you want to go into the piping over here. Okay, now you want to also spread this thing like such. Okay, now from the liquid Shutoff, you want to go with the insulated pipe to the left. So you're gonna basically do something like this. Okay, you go over here. Now, you want to grab the, still the isolated pipe, and you want to go into the aqua tuner. Then you want to exit this thing with the same type of pipe, all right? Now, imagine a radiator. This is exactly how this thing works. So, if you don't know how the radiators work, they transfer around water, right? There's water inside of it. They are heat up, let's say, in one place, and then they get transported by piping to, let's say, your apartment, okay? Inside, from radiators, they emanate the heat from the water gets spread around your apartment, okay? And once the water cools down, it goes back into the piping, back to the same place where it's cooked up. So this is exactly the same thing, just going all the way around. So instead of like heating up the water, we're gonna be cooling it. So it's gonna cool down the oxygen over here. But just don't connect this thing immediately into this section of the entire installation. You actually want to go with this thing further over here. Like, obviously we're using all the time the insulated piping. So you go all the way here, and then you go back here. Actually, wait, hold on, not this thing. I made a goof. This thing needs to get changed to isolated pipes, and from here you want to go to the radiant one. Just need to check that I put the gases on the. Oh, actually, I need to increase the size of this thing. So hold on a second. You want to actually do something like this. So insulated goes more or less here, here, actually here. So here. You want to, at the very bottom, you remember this floor? This is the floor I told you to remember. You go here, and then you change back to the radiant one. And you make it all the way over here. Then you go back to the insulated one, and you go back into the to the first installation. I actually, of course, screwed this thing up. Okay. So remember to go to the radiant one. There you go. Okay. So you're wondering, what the fuck is this thing? How the hell is this supposed to work? It's very simple. Oh, also I forgot, you need to make yourself a bridge over here, like a liquid bridge. Because otherwise this thing is just gonna block itself. So cancel those three over here, and you want to make yourself a liquid bridge. Like, let's say this. It's fine. You're probably like wondering why the hell I'm using this thing. You're gonna see in a minute. Connect this thing here. Okay, so this is how it's gonna work, okay? We're gonna be cooling the water in the thermal aqua tuner, okay? So it's gonna be minus 40 degree, well, from its amount. So let's say you're gonna put inside 30, you're gonna get out 40, yeah, you're gonna put inside 30, then out for the piping, you're gonna get 20, hold on a second. 16, you're gonna get 16 out of this thing, right? So I'm using the isolated pipes because there's gonna be heat exchange inside of this room, okay? So, like, if I'm gonna cool this thing, cool the water in the thermal aqua tuner and immediately heat it up, so that's like completely pointless. So you want to use the isolated piping over here. The isolated piping goes all the way down over here, as soon as the game will stop to save, all the way over here. Now this is where the oxygen from those pumps will cool down. Okay, imagine that the oxygen was gonna be like, let's say 35 or something like that. So because I've put it radiant pipes for the liquid and the radiant pipes for the gases, they're gonna exchange heat between themselves, right? So from this point, the oxygen will just go back to the base through the isolated pipes that we have over here, and the water will continue to go into this room. So it should still have like a bit of a temperature difference. So it's gonna cool the remaining oxygen that's gonna be over here. Like, it's gonna cool the room, okay? It goes then over here. I actually need to make myself the liquid container over here. Hold on a second, I need to like actually change this thing. Whoops, I forgot about the liquid container. I want to build it like this. So it's actually perfect. So you go here, isolated ones, and you go like this, okay? Then from here, you go here. Like this? Yeah, like this. It actually should work. No, it's not gonna work. Shit, I've had to like actually check my notes, so sorry about that. So you have to do something like this. The reason is because we have to put a sensor over here, the liquid pipe thermosensor. and you put this thing here. Okay, you're gonna understand in a matter of seconds why. Isolated piping goes from the liquid reservoir because, you know, I want to keep the water floating around. And it goes into the sensor. Okay, now from the sensor it goes into the liquid shutoff. Now, if the sensor is gonna detect that the water is not cold enough, then it's gonna get sent to the liquid valve. Okay, you can go over there. That's completely fine. So once there, you want to actually continue the isolated piping, and you want to go around like such into the bridge, like such. So the water won't go back because it can't, because of the bridge, how the bridge works. It won't allow the water to flow back. The water needs to go forward, right? So I'm basically pushing the water with the mechanics of the game. That's why you need the liquid bridge over here. So this is how it works. The sensor will check the temperature of the water. If the water inside of the pipe will be, let's say, 5 degrees, then the sensor will block its way for the liquid shutoff so that this thing won't cool it to ice and basically break the entire piping, right? So since this way is shut down, the liquid needs to find another way around. So it's gonna go into this piping system, all over there around, over here, and then go back down here and do the heat exchange over here, right? Then it's gonna go back over here into the pumps room. After that, it's gonna go back here, and the cycle repeats, right? So the sensor checks. If the temperature is high, then it will allow the water to go through into the aqua tuner. The aqua tuner is gonna cool down the water, and then the water will continue back over here into the heat exchange. So we got the oxygen production, the oxygen deployment, I would guess, spreading, whatever thing. So now what about the hydrogen? So the hydrogen is gonna get like created over here. And what now? Well, we need to transfer the hydrogen into this room. But I want, before that thing, I want to actually go to those gas reservoirs over here. Like just in case if I'm gonna make way too much of hydrogen, then I want this thing to still continue producing oxygen, okay? I don't really care about the hydrogen. Oxygen, because if this thing is gonna detect that it's too high pressure, it will stop to produce oxygen. And the hydrogen is the byproduct of the production, right? So since there's gonna be like shitloads of hydrogen inside, I won't be getting any more, and my entire oxygen production thingy will just go to shit. So what I like to do is I actually wanted to go into the isolated pipes again. So, you know, that actually requires a bunch of materials, but I have like 42,000, so I kind of like hope that you have the similar amount. And now you want to actually go all the way down here. Actually, yeah, okay, I think I can go like this. So go into this one, then from this one you go into here, like such, and then from this one you want to actually go into this room over here. So you grab it, you pull it, and you put it more or less here. Okay, now you want to go to the radiant gas pipe, and we are doing the same thing we did before, so like such. Okay, so the hydrogen will go inside of this room and is gonna basically transfer the heat to itself. Now with this thing, you want to get yourself the gas shut off, and this is exactly the same thing. So you make this thing over here, you look for the gas pipe thermal sensor, and you put it in front of it. Now remember to connect this thing together by isolated piping, like such. Now, obviously, you may get to the point that both of your gas reservoirs will get full. So what you're gonna do then? Well, just in case, if something goes really bad, try to put yourself a gas valve that you can control manually. Obviously, you can try to control the temperature thingy, like inside of the sensor thing, right? But assuming that you really want to control this thing and you just want to keep the hydrogen inside of this thing, yeah, so this is one of the ways to do this thing. So, remember to use the gas bridge. And if I'm gonna calculate this thing right, okay, I cannot build it here, so this thing is gonna go down. Then I will have to do something like this, okay? Go back to the ventilation thingy. Now, I'm using a bunch of resources, but as I said, at this point in the game, you should really have like a lot of resources. So, you go inside over here, and you go back, oh, sorry, wrong type of piping. And you go all the way back over here, right? So this thing will just continue to go. If not, like if the temperature actually is gonna be high enough, then obviously the sensor is gonna allow this thing to flow. So what you do then is you go from the gas shutoff and you go down here, over here. Actually, you need to do one more thing, which I completely forgot about. You need to build yourself a gas filter. This is really important because if you're gonna put inside something else than hydrogen instead of the hydrogen generator, then you're gonna break it, and you really don't want this thing to happen. So I like to put mine over here. Let's go back to this. Actually, I think I could try to go different way around. No, I don't think so. I don't think so that this thing is gonna actually like work. I'm actually doing some modifications on the fly, so sorry about that. So I changed this thing a little tiny bit. So this is the gas shutoff, right? The sensor needs to go in front of it, so thermosensor. Oh, I cannot build it because of the ladder. Okay, so remove the ladder. I'm gonna put the sensor over here. So the sensor, we're gonna check the temperature in the piping. If the temperature is high enough, the valve is gonna open. It's gonna go over here into the gas filter. And once the gas filter checks what type of gas is inside, it's gonna allow the hydrogen to go inside of the hydrogen generator. If not, if there's gonna be something different, then it's gonna go all the way down here to this connection over here, right? It's gonna go back to the rest of the base. Like, let's assume that somehow oxygen managed to get to into the system. No problem, no worries. We're just gonna throw it out like this, and that's like completely fine. As I'm waiting for my duplicates to finish all of this thing, let's go into the automation section, and you want to make the automation wires, okay? So go into the iron thingy. Now, this is how you want this thing to work. So this atom sensor is gonna check the pressure. You want to keep it like above 1 kilogram. As you can see right now, it's below 200 grams. So what that thing means is above. What this thing means is that this sensor is gonna turn off the pumps till the atmosphere around is gonna be 1 kilogram. This is basically to save you energy. So with those sensors, this system is self-sufficient. Otherwise, if this thing would just work around the clock, then it won't be sufficient. Like, one hydrogen generator won't be able to keep up with all of the energy demands. So it's actually like a really good idea to use the sensors if you need to save some energy here and there. So as I was saying, wires, and you just connect everything like such. Same goes over here. So this sensor needs to check if the atmosphere around is above. If this thing is above, then it's gonna send a signal into the pump to activate. Don't put the cables obviously to the electrolyzers because that's like pointless completely. Then of course you want to connect the sensors to those things. So this sensor goes into this sensor goes into, oh wait, I forgot, wait, hold on, wrong, no, sorry, cancel build, not here. We need to remove the ladder first because I need to put the sensor over there. Where's the sensor for the plumbing? Actually no, for the ventilation. Gas pipe thermosensor. You build it over here, like such. Then you connect it with a wire to this thing. Beautiful. Okay, now I'm using smart batteries, but of course, if you really want to, you can use normal batteries. That's completely fine. Now, the reasons is for like future energy saving, actually fuel saving. You connect the smart batteries with the hydrogen generator, and you put it so that this thing is gonna activate when the battery is below 20%. So basically, if the battery is gonna go below 20% of the power storage inside, then the hydrogen is gonna activate. It's gonna fill up the batteries and then turn off. This entire system is a mess, I know, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it. Now, the final thing that we need to do is, of course, connect this thing to power. Now, keep in mind that the Aqua tuner, this thing eats power like crazy. It eats power like Mexicans eat burritos and tacos, okay? And I won't fucking lie, I don't bloody ass blame them. So this thing eats 1200 watts of energy, right? Watts? Watts? Probably watts, I'm not sure. So if you're gonna put like more of those things inside, then it's gonna be a problem because your standard wire can only handle 1000, okay? The conductive wire can manage 2000. Everything above needs to be the heavy watts wire. But the thing is that this thing cannot go through walls, right? So for this thing to go through a wall, like if you're gonna plan to actually build this thing, like more of those things, which I highly doubt that you will need to, but you have to, either you can prepare for this thing in advance, or you have to like clean up the water from here and then just, you know, change some things. So you have to build this thing instead of the water, instead of the wall. So it's gonna transfer the energy from this side instead of the aqua tuner room. But before you're gonna do that thing, you also need to build yourself a thing called the power transformer. And I really prefer and I recommend that you're gonna build the large one, because I've heard that if you're gonna build two of them, like the two of the small ones, then they count the same way as the big one. But the thing is, I did a test run of this and it still broke for me. Oh, don't build it. And it still broke for me. Okay, the other thing is that this thing requires 200 resources and the small one requires 200 resources without like melting it into ingots. So later on, when you actually transform 100% of rare material into 100% of reinforced material, then it's like completely pointless. Yeah, sure, at the beginning it may like actually matter, but you know, for the safety purposes, I really prefer that you're gonna build a large one. So I'm gonna make it out of iron and I'm gonna build it here. Just in case, of course, you want to build those things additional to your piping room, you know, just in case, because you never know what's gonna blow up in the base. Okay, so we got that thing. Now we go to the conductive wire and you connect the entire system. So you have to do something like this. Actually, let's make it more fancy. I'm gonna put it behind the ladder, so you have to do something like this. Okay, now from this thing it has to go up here and it goes over here. Then from here it's gonna go all the way into the electrolyzers and into the pump. Actually, I could try to connect this thing to one pipe to the piping system, and then the electrolyzers could have like a different switch. But then again, the power transformer can only manage 1000 energy. So that's like 240 to 500. Yes, this is almost like 1000. So yeah, that's like a bad idea. So the electrolyzers and the pump responsible for sucking out the hydrogen has to be connected to one system. And a lot of materials. God damn it. I began filling this thing with water, as you can see over here. And the system, as you can see, the system is already like working. Yes, I know the piping is in the same system that is responsible for circulating the water around it. But don't you worry, once this thing gets filled, right, it's gonna basically block the output of any future water. And I still have like this valve over here so I can control it if needed. I can just shut it off, destroy the piping if I really want to, and then this thing is just gonna circulate around the system anyway. So yeah, allow it to fill. You actually need to fill it to the very top. So like, that's gonna take a while. I've already prepared like a bunch of water down here that I have cleared from any gems. You don't, as I said, you don't have to clear it from the gems, but if you want to, feel free to do so. Another thing I'm doing is actually like waiting for the iron to get reformed into like ingots so I can continue construction of the cables, but I can still try to do some. So let's see. Right, you want to grab and connect the two sections of the pumping into this battery, okay? Like such. The reason why I'm connecting this like this is that the energy won't go back. Because if you're gonna somehow manage to overload this system by, let's say, 2000 energy in a cable, then this thing is gonna break. So this is just safety measures. Of course, if you really want to, you can connect this thing directly. Just remember to use the power transformers, just in case. Right, back to the power thingy. Now, this thing goes into the battery over here. Now, from the hydrogen generator, it goes down here, and from the manual generator, I'm using this thing to kickstart the production, but also like just in case if I'm gonna somehow run out of oxygen or something's gonna happen, then I'll still be able to run this system. Well, not the entire one, but you know, we won't go completely out of oxygen. So this thing goes here. Now from this battery, I like to go up here. Actually, let's put this under the floor. There's no need to put this outside of the flooring. Go over here, you connect into this thing. So this large power transformer is responsible for transforming the energy into the thermal aqua tuner. Now, you wonder why I use the large one here and two small ones over here. It's simple. This thing can transfer only 1000 energy. This thing can transfer, if I remember correctly, 2000 energy. And this thing requires over 1000. So I think this is self-explaining. Yeah, as I know, I've heard that you can use those two. Like if you're gonna put them in a line, then still this thing is gonna work. I'm not exactly sure how the hell I'm supposed to connect this thing, so I just prefer to use the large one. It's less of a hassle. So you got this thing here, then you go into this and connect yourself to the filter over here. Now obviously you can connect, if you really want to, directly from the hydrogen into the filter. But, well, actually, you know what? Just need to save energy. I think we can do that thing either way. It should not break either way. There you go. Okay. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, almost finished the system, because we still have to connect this thing. So since this section is not using that much energy, let's pull the cable from that thing all the way up here. Okay, I think everything is connected. Yeah, everything is now connected. So that's the cables. Let's go back to the plumbing. Okay, the plumbing is also connected as intended. And now, of course, the gases itself. There you go. That should actually work. Now, you just have to set up those things around. So, the gas filter, obviously you want to hydrogen only. Then you have the sensor over here. You want it to have, let's say, above 34. Right? So at the moment the sensor is detecting that the water inside the piping is 51. So if it's gonna go into 34, then it's gonna allow the water to go into the aqua tuner. Now this thing over here is responsible for grabbing the hydrogen. Now we want only hot hydrogen. So let's say I want to put inside hydrogen that has temperature of let's say 40. So if the sensor is gonna detect that the hydrogen inside of the pipe is 40, at the moment it's minus 273. That's Celsius, by the way. So because it's empty that way. So if the sensor is gonna detect that there is 40 degrees, then he's gonna open up this gas shutoff, and this thing is gonna go into the filter. The filter is gonna check what's inside, and if that's hydrogen, it's gonna allow it to go into the hydrogen generator. And obviously the last final thing that you need to do and you want to do is, of course, connect water to the clean water to the electrolyzers over here. So I got like a little pump over here, so we're gonna use this pump and we're gonna wait with the connection itself. Okay, so now I just have to wait for the water to fill up this tank up here. We have to fix up the walls and remove the eggshells from the pumping room. And as you can see, this tile over here, even though that this looks like there's gas inside of this tile is polluted water. So we are safe to basically seal this thing off completely. I made it out of igneous rock. Right, igneous rock, build over here. What about this tile? This tile has carbon dioxide. This tile has polluted water. And the mass is growing, 75 kilograms and growing like crazy. Now some people are using actually ethanol for this build, simply because if you don't have access to gold amalgam, then ethanol is used to indicate that the room is overheating and you need to turn off the thermo aqua tuner. That's like example that when the aqua tuner is made out of, let's say, aluminium or other materials. If you actually have access to gold amalgam, I think you can literally go crazy and just do with polluted water. Now the reason why I'm using polluted water is it requires different temperature differences, right? So it's a lot harder to boil polluted water and a lot harder to freeze polluted water. That's why we're using polluted water in this system, because polluted water is basically better. As you can see, freezing point is minus 20, while for normal water is 0.6 degrees, right? So that's like the safety measures. Okay, just have to wait for this thing to get filled, and after that we're gonna seal off this entire room. And the room is filled, so seal it off. And after this thing would get sealed off, I'm gonna remove this tile over here. Actually, yeah, let's remove this tile over here. I just hope that the mineral will transfer to the top instead of like go down, because if it's gonna go down, I'm gonna get really pissed. And all of the water goes inside of the water tank over here. I actually think I got a bit too low water, but no, we should be fine. Yeah, we should be fine. Okay, so time to cut off this connection over here. What was the deconstruct thingy? There it is, liquid piping, and deconstruct this section over here. So this entire system will be completely closed, right? So we just have to increase priority, thank you. Okay, so I made like some switch over here, just in case if we have to control the pumps inside along with the electrolyzers. Okay, time to lock this thing to automation, and just in case you want to turn this thing off, so that because if there's gonna be something the duplicates will need to do on this side of the room, they're gonna have to go through the electrolyzer room. That's gonna make a bit of a mess. Like, not that much of a mess, but still. So it's either better to just lock the door or turn off the default movement through this like door or through this one. Like, it just depends on you, but I prefer to actually close this one. So like if they have to do something over here, for example, then they will have to go around using the ladder. So they'll go over here, and then do whatever they need to do. Okay, so the system is working. Well, working. It's ready. Will it work? Need to find out. I've connected water to my pump, so the water is going inside of the electrolyzers. I ordered my duplicates to switch those two switches over here. So the aqua tuner and the pumps down here for the oxygen are turned off. And of course I forgot to do the vents for the oxygen itself. So let's make one over here, and probably I want to transfer the oxygen a bit further down. So I think this side of the base is okay, and probably want to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now, you can either go with the isolated pipes or with the normal pipes. It's all up to you. The isolated pipes are okay if you want the cold to spread from this place, right? So it's gonna spread through the entirety of the base. If not, then you can just, like, for example, make it like normal piping from here is like just up to you and according to how your base is built. I'm just gonna go with the normal ones from now on. Over here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So nothing is set. Everything is built. We should be fine right now. I hope. Everything is set? Yeah, I think everything is set. Okay. So let's begin the making of oxygen, ladies and gentlemen. So one of the dupes is already in. Okay. So right now the electrolyzers are using the water, and they're making both hydrogen and oxygen. So if you're gonna go here, as you can see, oxygen, because it's heavier, goes down here, hydrogen will stay up here. So then the sensor will indicate how much pressure there is inside of this thingy over here, and if it's gonna go above 1000 kilogram, it's gonna activate the pump. The pump is then gonna suck in the hydrogen, hopefully there's gonna be hydrogen, and move it around. Pump activated, because this thing went above 1000 gram, and now it turns off. So inside of the piping, we got a bit of oxygen and a little bit of hydrogen. So this thing goes around now. Let's actually speed up this thing a little bit. Oh. Shit. Green is output, white is input. Excuse me. Okay, the system is fixed. Right. So apparently now oxygen is inside of this room, and those pumps want to get activated, but I flipped the switch, so let's flip it back up. Let's flip it back up, I said. Thank you. Okay, so those things will now activate. Now, obviously, the first run is gonna require a little bit of time to adjust, right? So the water's not flowing, yeah, stuff like that. Speaking of water, activate the water flow. Okay, this thing should actually go from now on as intended. Right now, in the piping, there's 31.3 degrees and rising, which is very good. This is exactly the thing I want to achieve over here. So if I understand this thing correctly, yeah, now the water goes outside. Beautiful. So inside this thing is 31 at the moment. I'm just gonna activate this thing temporarily to show how this thing works. So 31 inside, let's go above 31. So the sensor detects this thing. It's gonna release the flow. It's not gonna release the flow because I've cut it off the power, apparently. Wait, what? Oh, no, my batteries just went empty. Gonna activate the hydrogen generator, so it's gonna help up with a bit of energy over here. There you go, hydrogen goes inside. Okay, so the hydrogen should activate. There you go, fuel is inside. Alright, it's gonna take a while to like start the system, but once it's gonna start up, it's just gonna be self-sufficient. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, but don't you worry, everything is under control. We got this, boys. There you go, lots of fuel. This thing is working as intended. Right, the batteries are getting filled up, so that's nice. The generator is gonna soon turn off because there's gonna be like a bunch of energy in the batteries. Okay, fuel is still getting delivered. Ah, there you go. Okay, fuel is actually like gathering, and this thing turned it off because there's like enough energy. Let's see. Yep. Okay. So once this thing goes below 20%, generator is gonna activate once again. Right, oxygen is getting produced. Now, as I was saying, this thing at the moment is 32, right? So let's allow it to work on 32 degrees. So the water now goes inside. Instead of the piping, the water is on 32, right? It goes to the aqua tuner. And right now it's 18. And why is this thing stuck? Oh, because the flow of water is a bit too much. Okay, so how much degrees we have over here? Right, I think it's actually time to turn off this thing off. So let's turn off this whale over here. I could actually automate the system. Oh well. Okay, this whale is now turned off. So now the water from here is gonna flow. So inside, it's 80 and 32. Right, 18. Keep that thing in mind as it's gonna flow around. 18, 18, 18. Okay, so we have to be really careful right now. Okay, so 18 is inside. 22, 21, 18 over here. So it's entering this thing on 18 and exiting the system on 24. Now, let's go to the oxygen. Oxygen is entering at 32, exiting on 31. And slowly and steady cooling down. 30, 29, 28 almost, and so on and so forth. 28, 27, and still cooling down because the water inside is 18, so it's trying to balance itself out. So that means that the oxygen, this thing is overpressured. Okay, oxygen over here is on 30 because I didn't put the isolated pipes, but if you're gonna check what's inside, the temperature is 29 on this one and 28 on this one. Like, it's still cooling down. 27. So 30 degrees is like good, like that's really good, like that's optional. 27, 28, that's like really fine. So it requires a little bit of babysit at the beginning, but once this thing starts to work, it's completely fine. And this switch, oh yeah, it's too much power over here, so the switch can actually like break. I kind of like forgot about that thing. Oh well, I let this thing to run a little bit, and as you can see, the oxygen exiting this gas vent is 28, 27, 27 over here. So yeah, and the system is now 20%. Yo, you can leave the manual generator. Thank you. Okay, there you go. So now this thing should run around on the hydrogen generator, and I'm not touching this thing ever again. It's basically self-sufficient, as you can see. And if the batteries will go too low, then somebody's gonna come to the manual generator and help it out with a bit of a manual power, I guess. So yeah, it's working. The sensors is detecting the temperature, 30. No need to allow water to go through. So the water just goes around. I've changed this thing so it does not have like a full flow. So if water is gonna go over here, so the piping over here won't get blocked. So it's 8,000, maximum is 10,000. Then the oxygen over here is cooling itself down. It's like 30. 30 is okay, right? So 30 is like a really good temperature, and we have like a really like big amount of hydrogen over here. So actually you could try to put like maybe a gas vent over here, so that once the gases from the gas reservoirs will leave, then you'll be able to control the pressure inside of this cooling section, exchange heat section actually of the generator itself. So yeah, I hope you guys have found this build useful. I hope you now understand how this thing works, and yeah, feel free to build it and add a little bit of yourself into it, because like for example, I've added those gas reservoirs over here and this like entire piping. Brovgar build is like a lot easier, but I'm guessing he knows exactly what he's doing, so he can control this thing on his own. I'm too stupid to notice what exactly is happening, so I got the sensors to work for me instead. And it's like really nice to just sit here and look how this thing is working. It's like almost like Factorio. Not exactly Factorio, just a little bit like Factorio. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm rambling too much. I hope this video won't be too long enough. And let me know what else we should try to build. I think the next time actually is gonna be us harnessing the water from the cool steam vent. I was very lucky to actually get a cool one. So yeah, we're gonna see what else we'll be able to do. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna do this thing as of here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked the episode, please subscribe a lot. I'll see you all in the next video.